I'm always finding myself, as you do know, lighten the mood a little bit, crack a little joke, sing a little ditty about Jack and Diane. Two American kids growing up in the heartland. I throw little 80s things. Oh, you ever see that movie? Tell me what movie this is. Lighten the mood a little bit. It can be doomy at times, right? Let's lighten the mood a little bit. Lighten up. I don't know that I'll have anything here for you in this particular video, but I just wanted to say that. That's why I do that many times. So Zero Hedge, again, covering it flawlessly. This is the third time now I've brought up Illinois. Dead broke. Needs to file bankruptcy immediately if possible, right? Illinois Comptroller. The state can no longer function. If that's not essentially a declaration of bankruptcy, I don't know what is. With just 10 days to go until Illinois enters its third year without a budget, resulting in the state's imminent downgrade to junk status and potentially culminating in a default for the state whose unpaid bills now surpass $15 billion, Democratic Illinois Comptroller Susana Mendoza issued a warning to Governor Ronner and other elected officials on Tuesday, saying in a letter that her office has very serious concerns. It may no longer be able to guarantee timely and predictable payments for some core services. In the letter posted on her website, Mendoza, who over the weekend warned that Illinois is in massive crisis mode and that this is not a false alarm, said the state is effectively hemorrhaging money due to various court orders and laws that have left government spending roughly $600 million more per month than it's taking in. Mendoza said her office will continue to make debt payments as required, but indicated that services most likely to be affected, including long-term care, hospice, and supportive living centers for seniors. She added that managed care organizations that serve Medicaid recipients are owed more than $2.8 billion in overdue bills as of June 15th. I think one of the first videos I did, which has been probably a couple years now, I think, was when I noticed Illinois is handing people IOUs. Wait a minute. Illinois is handing the lottery winners, the ones who won the big bucks, $1 million so-and-sos, right? IOUs. We're good for it. We'll pay you later. Well, hold on. You took all the money in from the lotto, including my dollar or whatever I paid for this lottery ticket. And all the other people who lost, you raked in millions. Correct. My winning's only $3 million. Can I have IOU? Why? Again, like any business, accounts receivable, accounts payable, it's all jumbled together. We'd like to pay you, but we can't. IOU. Dumb and Dumber stole well, they didn't really steal it. The briefcase and had a bunch of money in there, and they spent it all. Handing out money like it was, here you go. Here you go. Here you go. And by the way, if you saw my last video, I meant to mention this in the last video. I totally forgot. So I had like 65, 70 bucks, somewhere around there, cash in my wallet. 320s and then whatever, some others, 510, whatever. And I'm telling myself, I didn't say anything to my mom like, hey, will you come over and I'll give you a couple bucks? Knowing that my mom is very dirt poor broke right now, working her barely few hours a week kind of a thing, when she really should be retired, which she does collect Social Security, but anyways, she opted for that early because she needed it, which means you get less if you opt for it early. Another bad decision. But I am Jason at 4, and I hope you guys will do the same for your peoples, your mom, dad, family, whatever. And I already knew when my mom comes, I'm going to throw her a couple bucks. And what I wasn't sure of was, should I give her 20 or 40? And I thought, I need to give her 40. I need to give her 40. Come on. I didn't say anything. I never even told her hey, will you come over? I'll give you a couple bucks. It was just simply, I need a reading. Can you come over? Do the little palm reading thing you do. Again, my very last video has that, where I talk about it. So at the end of that, She's ready to leave. Thanks, Mom. Okay. I didn't say anything. I walked over to my wallet, took out 40, had it in my hand, was about to walk over back to it, and said, no, I'm putting it in my back pocket. She doesn't even know what I got. She's talking to my wife. She's not even facing me. Mom, and one of my kids came down. I don't know if it was Emily or Nicole, and said, Mom, how much money did I just put in my pocket to give to you for coming over here tonight and give me this reading? I said, go ahead, grab my hands. He looks at me, grabs my hand. $40. Who would have ever thought? You know, she doesn't charge me ever. And I'll be honest with you, I don't know if I ever get thrown her a couple bones. I don't know, because we live farther away from them now than we ever have. Not that it's far. And I normally never called her over. Like, can you read me? Like, it was always usually like she's coming over anyways. Oh, hey, while you're here, can you, it's been a while. Can you give me a little reading? That kind of a thing. So I put $40. Nailed it. I said, if you can guess it, it's yours. Not that I would have held it back if she got it wrong. Mom, I love you got it wrong. Here's $40 anyways. No, she got it right. I forgot to mention that in the last video, just for the hell of it. So, the state can no longer function without a responsible and complete budget without severely impacting our core obligations and decimating services to the state's most in-need citizens, Mendoza wrote. We must put our fiscal house in order. It is already too late. Action is needed now. Needed, not needed. Needed. Unveiling the most dire language yet, in her letter, she says, we are now reaching a new phase of crisis. Perhaps, end quote, perhaps in an attempt to prompt the Democrats and Republicans to sit down and come up with a compromise. As Illinois Chief Fiscal and Accountability Officer, my office is responsible for managing the state's financial accounts, as well as providing the public and the state's elected leadership with objective and timely data concerning the state's difficult fiscal condition. As you are quite aware, I have been very vocal, regarding these issues and the budgetary impasse since assuming office 6 months ago. However, we are now reaching a new phase of crisis. She then addresses the full extent of Illinois' dire fiscal straits and the potential disruptions that we face in addressing even our most critical core responsibilities. Accordingly, I must communicate to you at this time the full extent of our dire fiscal straits and the potential disruptions that we face in addressing even our most critical core responsibility going forward into the new fiscal year. My office has very serious concerns that in the coming weeks, the state of Illinois will no longer be able to guarantee timely and predictable payments in a number of areas that we have to date managed, albeit with extreme difficulty, despite an unpaid bill backlog in excess of $15 billion and rapidly growing. The cause for alarm in America's most banished state is well known. Oh, no, excuse me, banished. I was like, banished? No. No, I was talking about Banana Republic. Yeah, let me say it how they actually wrote it. The cause for alarm in America's most banana-ish state is well known, living far beyond one's means, resulting in soaring deficits, and the critical need for constant debt funding. My cause for alarm is rooted in the increasing deficit spending combined with new and ongoing cash management demands stemming from decisions from state and federal courts, the latest being the class action lawsuit filed by advocates representing the Medicaid service population served by the state's managed care organizations, or MCOs. As of June 15th, the MCOs and their provider networks are owed a total of more than $2.8 billion in overdue bills at the Comptroller's office. There is no question that these obligations should be paid in a more timely manner, and that the payment delays caused by the state's financial condition negatively impact the state's healthcare infrastructure. We are currently in court-directed discussions to reach a workable and responsive payment schedule going forward. But any acceleration of the timing of those payments under the current circumstances will almost certainly affect the scheduling of other payments, regardless of other competing court orders and Illinois statutory mandates. There was one silver lining. A default is not imminent, at least not in Mendoza's view, as the Comptroller explains that debt service payments will not be delayed or diminished going forward, and I will use every statutory avenue or available resource to meet that commitment. It is a necessary pledge in order to attempt to avoid further damage to our already stressed credit ratings and to make possible the additional debt financing that we all know will be required to achieve some measure of stability going forward. And when every available resource runs out, that's when things get really bad. Meanwhile, as the state's budget director warns of fire and brimstone, in a last-ditch attempt to reach an agreement with the legislator, Illinois Republican Governor Bruce Runner will deliver a brief address Tuesday night calling for unity, which is actually tonight. Yeah, right? It's Wednesday? Yeah, Tuesday. Which is, again, tomorrow will be Wednesday. Calling for unity as lawmakers prepare to return to Springfield for a special session, a move Democrats quickly dismissed as a political stunt. So let me ask you a question, though. If you already owe $15 billion in climbing every month, $600 million additional every month, how are you going to pass a budget to pay all that? You're going to have to cut stuff somewhere. Somebody's getting cut. So even if you pass a budget, it's still devastating to some part of the state. And again, you're backlogged $15 billion. You got to pay that back and move forward with a legitimate budget. This is, well, let's borrow more from the banks. Let's borrow more. How about that? The speech, which is closed to the press, but expected to air live on 6 p.m. television newscasts, comes just days after Runner launched a TV advertising blitz attacking Democratic House Speaker Michael Madigan, whom the governor has spent years vilifying as the source of the state's deep financial woes, according to the Chicago Tribune. Democrats have long argued that Runner's frequent political attacks do little to bring about common ground. The governor says political gamesmanship is part of being in public service, but should not impact what happens at the Capitol. Runner, who will give his remarks at the old state capitol where Abraham Lincoln gave his House Divided speech and Barack Obama kicked off his first White House run in 2007, the speech will fall short. Democratic governor candidate J.B. Pritzker called Runner's address a sham, saying Runner either doesn't have the slightest clue what unity is or doesn't care. House Democrats called it laughable, saying if Runner wanted to negotiate, he would do it behind closed doors, not in front of the television cameras. No, I think you can negotiate in front of everybody, to be honest with you. I like that approach better than behind closed doors. They want closed doors. No, I don't think so. Wait a minute. Saying if Runner wanted to negotiate, he would do it behind closed doors. Oh, okay. Back up, J-Snip. They're telling us if he wanted to negotiate, he would do it behind closed doors, not in front of television cameras. That makes more sense. That sounds like a politician to me. Okay, now we're on track. Okay. I find it tragically comedic that a governor who has done more to divide the state than probably any other governor in history is going to give a unity address, said Christian Mitchell, Democrat, Chicago. It's not just the Democrats. Republican lawmakers said they would vote for the tax plan, but only if the hike were limited to 4 years starting in July and were tied to a 4-year property tax freeze. So what is this? If the hike were limited to 4 years starting in July and were tied to a 4-year property tax freeze. So what is that saying? 4 years of property tax hikes and then 4 years of non-hikes? Which is what? We're going to raise the hell out of them right now. You're going to be pissed off at us. For the next 4 years, you're going to be wanting to kill us. How much we have to raise your property taxes. But after that, we won't raise them anymore. We'll leave them where they are. Is that what I'm reading here? Most likely. The Senate Democrats' plan makes the tax hikes permanent and applies them retroactively to the beginning of 2017. While Runner is expected to talk about the need for unity and compromise, House GOP leader Jim Durkin said last week that Republicans expect substantial compliance from Democrats, warning that he would reject reform light of anything that is significantly diluted. Finally, in a harbinger of what's to come for the entire state, Bloomberg reports that Chicago's junk-rated school system, as in their, I'm assuming they got school, bonds for the school system. Why not borrow everything? Bloomberg reports that Chicago's junk-rated school system. Now, does that mean junk like the school system? Public education is junk? Because I can say, yeah, I see that. While simultaneously, the bonds attached are junk bonds. So two birds with one stone. They said that they report that the Chicago's junk-rated school system just went no bid and is paying bond market penalties similar to those seen during the financial crisis, 2009. The Chicago school district, slammed by the fallout from the Illinois budget gridlock, has been stuck paying punitive interest rates on $167.5 million of, remember the adjustable rate bonds, after PNC Capital Markets failed in March to resell the securities once previous owners sold them. That's called hot potato, hot potato, hot potato, hot potato, hot potato, hot potato, potato, potato. Who the heck was that? It was a kid's show. The 3 or 4 guys that had different color shirts. What in the heck was that called? Like we were talking about the other day. What was that show? One guy was like Asian and a tall guy, and total kid show, like young kids. I said, yeah, that was the song from the, I don't remember. If you know it, just write in the comments. It's killing me. So yeah, hot potato. We sold them to you. Sorry. Remember the failure of auction rate securities just before all hell broke loose in 2008? Well, it's kind of like that. The rate on the bonds, which are supposed to stay extremely low because investors can resell them to banks periodically, jumped to a maximum 9% on March 1st, up from 4.64% just the week before. Talk about doubling. Ooh. And has stayed there ever since, according to data compiled by Bloomberg. In another preview of what's coming once Illinois is junked, the school district agreed this week to pay a rate of 6.39% for a short-term $275 million loan from one of the club, J.P. Morgan Chase & Co., to help make a pension payment and cover the cost of staying open through the end of the school year. As we reported last week, the schools didn't receive $250 million more in state aid to make the retirement fund contribution after a measure was vetoed by Governor Bruce Rauner. Illinois has failed to pass a budget for more than 2 years as the Republican governor and Democrat-led legislature battle over how to close the state's chronic budget deficits. Chicago Public Schools has been unable to create a fiscally responsible budget, and it relies on outside sources that, as we see, sometimes come through and sometimes don't, said Matt Dalton. That's unsettling investors. Unfortunately, that's just the beginning. And once the state itself is junked, investors will be even more unsettled. The biggest insult and injury is the near insolvent state. Is to the near insolvent state is that Illinois is facing a full-blown crisis just one day after chronic defaulter Argentina managed to pull off a 100-year bond offering, which was 3.5 times oversubscribed. Hope and pray, hope and pray. I wish you luck on that, Illinois. Game over. Can't wait to see how this goes, to be quite honest with you. Take care.